Now, from pets to kids, family is one of the most important aspects of a people's lives. However, if the family estate is not in order, a sudden illness or even death can cause undue stress or resentment. Attorney John Goralka specializes in making estate planning easier. Retiree and family man Jim explains how.
We had a really good experience with John and his staff. His staff is very competent. John did an extremely good job for us. We were very satisfied. His work was very accurate, very timely, very comprehensive estate plan is what we ended up with, and that's just what we were looking for.
Well, Goralka Law Firm works exclusively on estate planning, business, and tax law, and John Goralka is the only attorney in Sacramento County that is a certified specialist by the California State Bar in both taxation and estate planning. John Goralka, the founder of Goralka Law Firm, joins me now to explain estate law. Welcome, John.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Well, so who should be concerned about estate planning?
We're really any adult, and actually it can start very young. For example, I have two kids, Patrick and Elizabeth. When they left for college, an interesting eye-opening experience is that I'm no longer entitled to get access to their grades or financial information. So even for young adults such as that, you want to have a simple durable power of attorney or advanced healthcare directive. So if something happens, you can step in and help. But then certain triggering events actually makes it even more important for older and more mature people, such as getting married, buying a home, having kids, and even age and health issues. Because part of what your estate plan is there to do is not just to transfer your assets when you die, but also to allow your family members to step in and help if you're not able to act on your own behalf.
Oh, I see. So what's the best option for most people? Is there one kind of umbrella estate plan that we should all look at, or is there different ones for each person?
That's actually a good question. Probably for most people, the best option really would be a living trust. And the reason why is the goal for an estate plan really is to make sure that you get the assets to the right people, but also at the right time. For example, when I was 20 years old, I suffered from what I would refer to as instant withdrawal syndrome. If there's money in an account, I'm going to pull it out and perhaps look for spring break somewhere. So again, you want to make sure you get the assets to the right people at the right time, but also we want to keep the wrong people out, people that you don't want to take. And then now there are other planning opportunities, such as putting an estate plan in place which will actually protect the assets that are after they're received by your loved ones or children. Okay. So that way it can be protected from a future divorce, from lawsuits, from creditors, and those sorts of things. And so a living trust really can do all of those sorts of things, but the real question isn't whether you need a living trust, is what kind of a living trust that you want to get. And a lot of people view living trusts as all being the same, as sort of like a loaf of bread. But quite frankly, when I go to the grocery store, I go look down the bread aisle, there are thousands and thousands of different types of bread, and I would go nuts if I was looking through the different ingredients. And trusts are like that, only even a little bit more complicated. Yeah. And then the other issue is not only that, is how do you know that your living trust is going to work when it's called upon to act? Oh. And so really, that is when somebody has passed away or if incapacitated, and then it very well may be too late to fix that.
Well, speaking of that, so why is planning important right now?
Well, there are a lot of issues. First, Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal, and I'm not talking about Obamacare, I'm really talking about planning for a stay in a long-term nursing facility or nursing home. And so the average cost for that is $8,000 per month. If you have advanced Alzheimer's like my mom does, there may be a surcharge for that of $2,000 a month. So you're looking at costs that can range from $100,000 to $120,000 a year, which can be devastating. And for a married couple, unfortunately, California, based on its community property laws, looks at the limitation on the assets that can be held by not only just the ill spouse, but the well spouse. So you want to make sure that you can plan to make sure you can get as many assets available for the well spouse as you can. And then also, HIPAA, we have the federal privacy law for medical information, and there the very laws that are designed to protect you from a privacy standpoint can really cripple your estate plan or make it much more difficult to operate. So that's increasingly important. And then also all of the tax laws have changed. The very low Bush income tax rates are gone. The estate tax rates are actually much lower. We have a very high estate tax exemption. Everybody has a $5.34 million exemption. So with that, estate tax is really a lesser concern for most people, but income tax unfortunately applies to all of us. Many of the things that estate planners used to do to protect people from the estate tax actually can result in a much higher tax burden on the surviving spouse and the family. So it's very, very important to have an estate plan reviewed. And then one of the biggest issues that I see, and I see it many, many times times a month in my office, is one of the things that many estate planners would do for a married couple is to prevent estate taxes. We would actually, on the death of the first spouse, a portion of the assets would be automatically funded into a irrevocable trust, and the surviving spouse actually has very limited access to those assets. We do a lot of trust administrations, and it's a very difficult conversation for me to have with someone when I tell them that, you know, they're already suffering from the loss of a loved one, that, you know, guess what, half of the things that you think you own, perhaps you don't own anymore. And that's a very difficult conversation to have, especially if they're not even saving any estate tax from that. So really, anytime you have an estate plan that was drafted before 2013 really should be reviewed to make sure that the trust is actually going to work the way you want it to work.
So let's talk about your law firm a little bit. Let's talk about Goralka. How can you guys help people out there with estate planning?
Well, first, we're a little bit unique, and we're very big on education and seminars. And so probably the best thing to do is come in and call for a seminar. And what we'll do there is we'll talk about the basics, which you'll see at maybe other functions, but we're actually going to pop the hood and we're going to look at the engine of the trust, and we're going to actually see how it works and how it operates. So you have a better understanding of what you know, the trust does, how it operates, and also you'll have a better understanding of why many living trusts may fail. Then we'll go into the the different planning opportunities and those sorts of things. And the seminars are free without cost, and those that attend the seminar are able to attain a fee discount if they move forward with living trust. Meetings that we have, any initial meeting that we have with a client is always without any obligation or cost. For estate planning, we don't charge hourly rates, we just have a flat fee, so there's no hidden costs or worries to be concerned about.
Oh, good. And you had the website up there, but tell us your website and how people can get a hold of you.
Our website is www.goralkalawfirm.com, and you can also see a list of the seminar dates that we have. And then also our phone number is 916-440-8036.
Good. And those seminars are a great way to get started, as you mentioned, too, for people who just want to kind of, you know, dip into it a little bit, see what it's all about, find out what you're about, and see if they
absolutely. It's an interactive process, so it's really almost sort of a class environment. So we're really kind of explaining the rules, explaining the options, so that way they have a better feel for that. They're able to attend with other folks, so that way they can touch base with other people that might be similarly situated. Absolutely. And then if they do decide to move forward with a meeting, there's never any cost or obligation unless they actually decide to proceed.
Move forward. All right. Well, thank you, John. Thanks for being here. Good information.
Well, thank you.